All right, are we going? All right, there we go. Yeah, we're live. So, as we were kind of saying before we went live here, like this is a really fun week to make lineups. Like there's a lot of ways to go. And what was that you just told me kind of before we went on related to your projections and how how you think the chalk's going to play out?
I think a lot of people. I think it's gonna. Everyone's gonna land on the basic Hamlin Truex at least build, and probably Logano in there. And I'm scared of how many people are talking about Christopher Bell today and all week. Everyone's writing him up as a tournament play, and when everybody writes him up as a tournament play, he turns into pretty massive chalk by the end of it. I think a lot of it, what's going to come down to though, is how long Kyle Busch can stay up front from the lead, because his stats on this package and at flat tracks in general lately have been very questionable. And then like the wild card of, does Kyle Larson come out and just dominate after we expected him to last week and he didn't, and this is the week of that he kind of gets some redemption. So yeah, I think there's going to be so many similar builds where people are going to try to differentiate off of. I think a lot of people are going to start with Hamlin Truex and go from there, and I think we're going to get a lot of ties today if that ends up being the optimal, which that's what everyone's projections are basically pointing to.
Yeah, it seems like a chalky week across the board. And I say that despite the fact that we have at least 8 guys that we could probably talk about an hour on
Mm-hmm.
each of like who can lead. And so I guess I'll touch on the PJ one. Like I truly believe that NASCAR not spraying that down is going to hurt people. Obviously it's not going to affect the entire field, but that amount of uncertainty, like I'm more worried about Kyle Busch right now than I was at the start of the week. Same thing with Truex, and I'm actually leaning more towards like a Hamlin type of day, because I think the competition caution hurts Kyle Busch, and I think he's going to be popular. Truex is super cheap, like he's way underpriced, and head to head between Truex and Kyle Busch, I think it leans Truex.
Mm-hmm.
However, man, I like if you look at Kyle Busch, Truex, even if you want to throw Chase Elliott in there, Hamlin and Larson, just the guys in the top 10, like I think 2 of these guys are going to arrive to this track with the wrong setup, just right off the bat. And so, I mean, maybe I'm just speculating there. Going back to Larson, like, so last week is a rarity to where it was just super, super chalk week. He burned everybody. Like everybody was incorrect on how Larson was performed or how he would perform. Like they missed on the setup. So he burned a lot of people. He's not necessarily the default chalk play here. He's the most expensive driver. I think the way to get contrarian, as we talked about, kind of the chalky build between Kyle Busch, Truex, Kyle Busch, Hamlin, Truex, Hamlin. I think it's paying up for Larson and even paying up for somebody like Logano. I think Logano is going to run extremely well, and Logano has a chance to score very similar or even a bit higher to Truex if Truex, doesn't run away with the race like some people are thinking.
Mm-hmm. So that's interesting about Logano, because I see a lot of people kind of talking like about him similar to how you were. Like I wrote him up as a cash play. Like he's in 60% of my lineups and he's in almost 80% of my FanDuel lineups. Like there's no doubt in my mind that Logano is going to be in the optimal today. So that's just interesting. But yeah, I completely agree. Larson's the biggest wild card. I don't see. I have a different mindset when it comes to the PJ1 for Kyle Busch. I think it helps him because his pit crew's fast enough to keep him up front with that competition caution. He's got the first pit stall. If you can't pass on this, it reminds me of, was it Martinsville or was it Loudon here when Keselowski led start to finish and Chase Elliott was just running second all day but getting all the fastest laps because they couldn't pass. Like that's in my head, that might be what happens today. Truex or Hamlin's running second, getting all the fastest laps, but Kyle Busch is up there leading the whole thing because he has the track position and you can't get around him.
So, I mean, I know you just said that about the guy who's running second, but I think that actually helps out people like Christopher Bell as well. Like, I think that's why you need to elevate Christopher Bell and Tyler Reddick. I just want to point that out there. So I agree with the Reddick and Bell interest. And I do think that this has a chance to turn into almost like a 2 or maybe even a 3 dominator type of lineup, to where one guy's getting the laps led and he's not getting the fast laps while he's leading. And so it's basically dividing that between 2 different people during the run. And then if the leader changes, then basically it's like a 3rd dominator, even if only 2 people have led in the race. That's why I kind of like 3 dominator builds today.
Yeah, I mean, typically, well, first off, Christopher Bell, like, I'm living or dying by that guy today. That that feels uncomfortable to me. But yeah, well, typically, Loudon's a 2.5 dominator race.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't be surprising at all to see it be a 3 dominator race, especially with, you got Logano starting 15th, Larson starting 10th. It's going to take a while for those guys to get up there. But you're right. I think it's nailing the first dominator. And if it's Kyle Busch, how long he is or how long he's up there. But I don't know. I can't wait to see what Kyle Busch's ownership is today, because I know I have him projected for a good chunk of dominator points in general, and he's still not showing up in my optimal lineups. So it's I don't know. I don't know what to think on Kyle Busch exactly. I'm going back and forth, and if you're paying up that much, I agree. I think you should just go up to Larson and get that place differential plus the chance that he puts up 100 fastest laps.
Yeah, I have Kyle Busch as the 3rd highest play, but I'm like I really like Larson and Logano just based on the place differential. Like, I think both those guys are going to finish inside the top 6, and in order for Kyle to, like you just said there, go head to head, like, he needs to really lead the first portion of this race, and I firmly believe somebody is going to pass him out of the competition caution. Like, that's just what I think is going to happen, or even on pit road. Like, I love Hamlin. I really, really like Hamlin today.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Definitely him and Truex are my highest owned today for sure. All the numbers just point to those 2 getting having the best chance at getting dominator points, even with Kyle Busch on the pole. Like I said, I don't understand why Kyle Busch's numbers at flat tracks and this package have been so lackluster, other than the fact that they really haven't started turning it up till now. So how much do you weigh that, as opposed to just going with Truex? Do you think there's any value in fading Truex today, or is it like Newman last week where the price is so good you just have to eat it?
Man, I mean, I ate Newman last week, and then he got the speeding. The one week where I fully embraced the chalk.
Well, so he was still in the second best lineup though. Like,
yeah,
that's how much the chalk was.
That's the place differential. Yeah, that's what he had. I mean, going back to the PJ1, like, I think 2 of the Joe Gibbs teams miss. Like, I don't see it being like all 4 of them being there. I know David brought up, everybody's guessing each and every week with no practice. Like, everybody arrives to the track with what they think with the setup that they think is going to be the fastest. I just see it being Kyle Busch or Truex with Hamlin today. Like, and man, his price is just really, really cheap. I don't know why he's 9-1. Like, I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, I don't know what they like. And then they put Suarez at 89. Like, what are you doing? Just get a brain for once.
Yeah, and I mean, because at Truex's price, like, obviously he needs to get some fast laps and laps led, but he can basically pay it off by just staying in it, like, just doing his normal race.
Yeah,
like, he can pay that off,
Yeah. So what do you think about shifting gears a little bit? What do you think about William Byron?
I can't do Byron. I can't do Byron because if I'm paying up for a Hendrick driver, I think it's going to be Larson, and I'd much rather play Logano in Byron. It's like right with Byron, just because Logano's cheaper. I think they're going to do very similar today.
Mm-hmm. I have a tendency to latch on to like quotes. So Keselowski said that like they need to win this race to prove that they're a championship contender. So that was one thing that I picked up on. And then 2 was Byron basically said they've had this race circled all year. Him and Fugel have. I'm like, this I could just see it becoming, Truex or Kyle Busch leads, and then eventually Byron takes it at the end and somehow gets a win. Just because he's been really strong on short flat tracks and in this package. So I like, yeah. Then he's got the place differential of 16th as well, starting 16th.
So I'll talk about Keselowski here. The reason, I know you kind of brought him up there saying that he needs to win. The reason I don't like Keselowski is because we saw his dominance last year. Like, we saw how good he was on the flat tracks, and they said, okay, we're bringing this car to Phoenix because this is our best car. We think we could win the championship here. And we saw how the other teams caught up and surpassed the 2 car. And then when you look at this year, like, the only driver in the Penske stable, kind of Ryan Blaney as well, but Logano has been the guy to play from the Penske stable on these flat tracks. It isn't Brad Keselowski anymore. And so that's kind of why I'm writing off Blaney. That's kind of why I'm writing off Keselowski.
Are you saying teams caught up to the 2 team at Phoenix last year or this year?
Like the championship race last year and then entering the start of this year. Like, because when we saw how, like, Keselowski dominated the flat tracks last year, but we saw the other teams finally catch up, and Keselowski's not really there.
His pit crew was more. He probably had the best car in that race. Not gonna lie. If not, he was a close second. But I agree. This year he's not. I mean, he has 30 fastest laps over Phoenix, Martinsville, Richmond, and I mean, I don't really count Martinsville for this, but if you're looking at that, 30 between those 3 races.
Yeah. Let me see. Where did I put this? I see a lot of people going Kyle Busch, Truex, Hamlin today in a line. I see a lot of people trying Larson, Logano, and Bell on a line. A lot of people trying Larson, Hamlin, Logano, Truex, Hamlin, Logano. Like, I don't know. Like the more I look at it, the more I just like the lower ownership on Larson. Like, I think this might be the lowest ownership Larson has since like March, just because everybody seems to not be, really paying up to Larson this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, and obviously we don't have much this year history of him to look at on this track type, but the flatter tracks weren't like crazy good for him with Ganassi. He was really good at Phoenix this year and then stunk it up at Richmond. But then again, it's Kyle Larson. Like I said, that's the biggest, like single entry, that's where I'm targeting Larson, because he's probably going to come in at, I guess, under 20%. So yeah, that something like that, 3 entry max, single entry. I think you have to really think hard about Larson, especially when you compare him with Truex at 91. I mean, you can build a solid lineup there with him and Truex on it without having to go for a deep, like a punt.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I go back to where I think you can legit make like a 4, dominator type of lineup, especially if you're using somebody like Reddick or Bell. Like, I think each of those guys get over 10 fast laps in this race throughout the entire course of the event and staying where they are. Like, you can count him as like, or you can count them as like a dominator if you want to, or at least a lineup that has 4 competent cars that are going to run inside the top 10 today.
Right. So I'm like, Christopher Bell is, like I said, I'm uneasily heavy on Christopher Bell today. Sell me on Tyler Reddick, because I'm not really seeing that.
So let me get my stuff here.
I think he can run top 10. I'm just not seeing the dominator points. Obviously his price is decent.
I was going to say it's more because of his price. Like, I have him easily hitting a 5.5 value. Like, easily getting like 38 points, 39 points, 40 points. And we've seen him get 1 or 2 fast laps this year at tracks to where, sure, like New Hampshire is basically like a 1 groove racetrack. But we know Reddick is going to be trying, the second lane, the third lane at some points throughout the race. And if anybody can find success, I think it's going to be Reddick in those. That's why I have Reddick getting I'm giving him 8 fast laps in this race. Like, I think that can easily go up.
Would you take him over Chastain and Stenhouse?
So I like Chastain today. Before we get to that, who do you like more between Chastain or Stenhouse? Because that's gonna kind of answer the Reddick thing, I think. Like I go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I
Stenhouse
like
is.
Chastain more. Sorry.
I like Chastain more in tournaments, but my projections like Stenhouse so much, and I'll probably regret that. I think they both have, 15th place finishing potential, but Stenhouse has the 9 extra spots.
Yeah, I got Stenhouse right now with 43 points. I got Chastain with 41, but I think I like Chastain more, just as a play.
Just to get off the chalk.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably going to be a 25% gap between those two.
Really? You think it's going to be that high?
I'm probably doing that in my head.
Is Chastain the chalk here?
No, I'm saying Stenhouse is the chalk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think Stenhouse. I got Stenhouse at like 35 and Chastain at 18.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I figured they'd be more split down the middle.
I think there's a lot of people just because of Stenhouse's track record here. If he doesn't wreck, he should be 15th.
Yeah, and when you look at Chastain, let me go over here. Martinsville worries me. Richmond worries me as well. He needs to do more than what he did there to beat Stenhouse. I'm leaning heavily on a lot of the road courses, with how the teams are setting up the cars. Like, that's pushing me more towards Chastain than Stenhouse. I know Stenhouse finished well in the Road America race, but that's because nearly half the field pitted at the end. And he had a fast car. He kept going into pit road because he kept having flat tires. But I think that gives the edge to Chastain if they can bring a car that's similarly set up to how he competes in the road courses. If we go to more of the flat tracks this year, then I think it does lean Stenhouse. But man, it's head to head. Like, they're legit like 2 points within each other, or within 2 points of each other.
Yeah, like I said, like my base lineups all have Stenhouse in them, but like if I'm entering them in single entry, I'm just gonna make that small pivot off of Stenhouse to Chastain, because I think they both have top 15 finishing potential. It's just McDowell or Stenhouse has the 9 extra spots at place differential, but with it being that much chalk, in single entry, definitely it's worth taking that risk for similar upside. But overall, I have more Stenhouse than I do Chastain for sure.
Who do you think fails more often? It has to be Chastain, right?
Yeah, because I mean everybody Recce Stenhouse or Recce Spinhouse, but flat tracks are where he really excels, and it's always been like that.
Yeah, ACS brought up Bubba. I know we're kind of talking about the 7K guys. I don't know what to do with the 6K range. Like, to me, it seems like you play LaJoy as your cheapest guy, and you just kind of avoid the 6K together, or you play people like Custer or Briscoe, and then Wallace. Like, I think Wallace's price is a real issue today to get to. At least in my builds, like I couldn't get to Wallace.
I have quite a bit of Wallace just because of how my top. I can see skipping Bubba, and skipping that whole range if you're going heavy on Kyle Busch or heavy on Larson, but with my main builds being Hamlin Logano Truex or Hamlin Keselowski Truex, it just fits. I give Bubba more upside than I do LaJoy, so I'm not going to go down to LaJoy. because I don't need to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I got Bubba for 31 points. I got LaJoy for 32.
I got I got LaJoy at 16 and Bubba at 25.
Yikes, man. So I guess I'll talk about this whole range. Like I got Busher's, he's 8,000. I got Bubba for 31. I got Briscoe for 30. Like I said, I got LaJoy for 32. I'm probably too high on Custer, but
I'm high. Like Custer's projecting higher than Bubba for me as well, but in my hand builds, I'm going Bubba. And I think I'm about even on them as far as ownership. I got 2% more Custer than Bubba today, or as of now.
if you got, because I have Custer the same way. If you have Custer project do better, why aren't you going to more Custer?
Because I don't trust him, and I like how Bubba's running right now.
Okay.
Plus, he's JGR. I think that gives him a bump.
Because I have Custer as the highest projected in this range too. And I've been, like I said, I've been avoiding the range. Like I haven't really been in this range, but I feel like I'd rather go Custer more than Bubba. Especially like hearing, that's why I was kind of shocked that you had Custer projected as high, because I looked and I was like, okay, I got Custer for an uncomfortable amount of points. And I was like, is he really going to do that? Well, then when you said you haven't projected as well, like maybe that's telling me that I need to consider Custer. If we're both projecting him to do better, we're not playing it because we don't trust him. And I feel the same way with you and Bubba. Like, okay, Bubba's been running well, but if we're like, I need to play Custer now. That's what I'm saying.
You think Bubba's going to be chalkier than Custer?
I think Bubba's really chalky, and yeah, like Custer. I just found that interesting. Like I really haven't been pointed towards Custer a whole lot, but
I just trust Stuart Haas overall on these short flat tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Custer was running like 15th at Phoenix this year, and then he got put in the wall by Bubba, ironically. 18th at Martinsville and 23rd at Richmond. So would like to see a little better performance out of him at Richmond, but Bubba was 16th at Phoenix, 16th at Martinsville, and then 26th at Richmond. So
yeah, that is interesting.
But you'd rather say over both those, you'd rather save and go LaJoy.
Yeah, I'd rather go LaJoy than both those guys.
What about Justin Haley?
I can't. If we're gonna talk about punts, man, we just got to embrace Quinn Hoff. I'm not wasting time playing Haley. There's no way. Let me look. I got where are we at? Haley. I got Haley for 18. I got Quinn for 15. And if you're like, if I'm punting, I'll just go min salary.
Right. Do you think that works today at all? Just because of like, if you do a Kyle Busch Larson lineup, I think you have to punt.
So I don't think you do, but you end up with LaJoy and Alfredo a lot. Like if you're not punting, you're stuck playing LaJoy and somebody else in the 5K range, and you're not playing Cody Ware. You're not playing BJ. I think you're playing Alfredo and LaJoy. Going down to Haley or Half in a top heavy lineup opens the door for you to get either, even like an Eric Almirola or Stenhouse and Chastain, or Reddick and Bell together. I think not punting at the very bottom is actually really chalky in that type of build for that reason.
Does this change your mind any? LaJoy go into the rear?
No, it doesn't. I saw that, and that doesn't bother me at all. Yeah, the punt lineup works if this race is a 3 dominator type of lineup and it's the expensive guys
Yeah,
that
if
do
it's
it.
a Larson, Kyle Busch, Hamlin, something like that.
Yeah, or even like a Logano, Hamlin, Larson.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's those types of lineups. Let's see. I only bring this up because anytime people play, I'm not saying you did this, Wes, but a lot of time people play the punt plays is when they're chalky, like Half at Nashville. That's not Half's fault, man. That was a crew guy.
I think it depends on what you're like. I don't think a punt play is going to take down a GPP today, but
no.
In high dollar or in the qualifier or a single entry, it might help a little bit. It depends how the race goes out.
I think they can easily get in the top 7% of lines. And so what is that normal GPPs? That's like a 2.3 return. If it's paying out like the top 23, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm. But
and this is why, like Chris, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like this is, I wouldn't play Suarez. That's just what I would do. But you can make like that type of line. And so if Hamlin and Truex run away with it, like the Half is not going to kill you if he scores 11, 12 points today because you have Hamlin, Truex, and you're getting different from everybody else playing those like that. I think that's why Half makes sense. Not necessarily take down a tournament, but to at least get different, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You either be 1 or 2 points higher than the main builds or 1 or 2 points below the main builds with Half. That's what I'm seeing.
And I mean, I don't think this is going to turn into a wreck fest, but if it does, and Half finishes top 30, assuming he doesn't wreck.
Half isn't a bad driver, man. This ain't Cody Ware taking up 4 lanes on the track, man.
I agree with you there. He's just not. Where's he starting today?
He's starting second to last, 36.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I don't. So going back to Suarez, like what do you think his ownership's going to be? Because I see a lot of people talking about him, and I don't have any.
So I have Suarez projected to do 42 points. That's a 4.7 value. That's just an X for me. Like I'm not playing somebody at nearly 9,000 for not even a 5x return. And so I just wrote him off like to start the week. I haven't listened to a lot of people this week, but I mean,
I will say I have a ton of him in FanDuel. Yeah, but DraftKings, you couldn't pay me.
Yeah, I'm not on FanDuel today, but like I mean, I'm giving like Suarez like a 17th place finish, and that's still not like I don't see him working out. Like, why would I pay 8-9 for Suarez when I could just pay 9-1 for Truex? I know we kind of shit on Truex earlier, but head to head between these guys, like I think Truex is going to do better. So I would just rather pay the 200 more for Truex versus sacrificing the leader upside with just some place differential from Suarez, which isn't even guaranteed.
Completely agree. Yeah, my whole rule always with DFS is, well, with DraftKings is not to pay up for price differential only. And, you know, Suarez isn't going to win this race. He's not going to get fastest laps. He's not going to lead. So, you know, if he comes out at, you know, 20-something% ownership today, like nobody can tell me that there's no edge in DFS.
Mm-hmm. So this is interesting because these guys are priced very similar. Mm-hmm. My first runs were like in Eric Almirola. I ended up not getting to him in my lineups, but I think everything we just said for Suarez really does apply to Eric Almirola. I know you kind of like Eric in the beginning of the week. Like, how are you right now? Like, I have him projected to do well. I just didn't get to him based on the price.
exact same boat. I actually ended up with about 19% Almirola. Love him on FanDuel. Don't like him
Mhm.
at all on DraftKings, even though I have quite a bit of him. But my hand builds, like my high dollar lineups, I don't have Almirola because, like I said, there's no like upside. His highest is probably about a top 10. And yeah, when you're in that range, I'm just so heavy on Christopher Bell today that I'm, it's Truex and Bell, and that's all I'm paying attention in that entire range.
So the only reason, and this was last week. So like last week, I did pretty chalky lineup with Larson, Suarez, and Newman, trying to get different. I got Eric Almirola at 7.5% ownership. Like knowing that, and I think it's the same situation here. It might be even lower to where Eric is going to be probably under 8%. Like if I was making a lot of lineups, I would probably do like you and end up with like 19, but like slightly be over the field because I don't see that ownership going up any higher than it was last week in the $15. Like and knowing that I can just get different by playing Eric Almirola, that's really, really enticing.
I don't think he'll be under 10%. I think he'll be closer to 20%.
Really? Why? Why
Yeah.
is that?
I think a lot of people are talking about him. Plus, he starts 22nd. I have a hard time seeing him going under 10 for sure, just because of his record here and his record on flat tracks. I mean, a lot of people haven't picked up on his record on flat tracks, but a lot of people have.
Because he started 22nd last week or 20th last weekend at $8,000. Like
that's Atlanta though.
And I liked him at the intermediates too. I don't know. Like it seemed to me like last week was the week to play him if you wanted to get different.
Yeah, I mean, if he comes in at under 10%, then yeah, I mean, I'll gladly be double the field, but I'm kind of assuming I'm going to be about even.
Okay. I have him and Suarez projected for the same. So that's expensive. Very expensive for that. Let's see.
Yeah, if you're gonna trust Eric Almirola, this is the track to do it. The only time he doesn't finish well on these track types is if he wrecks. I mean, he's just so solid here. So get rid of the bias of Eric Almirola isn't good this year because he's really good at short flat tracks and in this package.
Yeah. Let me see. I'm not on Blaney at all. Are you?
I don't see the dominator potential there. I love Penske on these tracks, but I'm just, I'll go Logano and Kez, and I can see why people would want to play Blaney. I just don't see the upside.
Like, who are your three that were popping up a lot in your lineups? Like for me, I know we're kind of going back to what we started with, but I think it's Truex, Hamlin, Larson, and Logano for me. Like those are the four that I would probably, maybe not in one line, but those would be the main guys that I would probably build around today.
Yeah, so it's Hamlin, Logano, Truex for me, and then Bell.
Okay.
Those four.
Okay.
I mean, that's my main build.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm not on Bowman today.
Yeah, I mean,
can't do
it. Yeah, it should scare you because the only thing he has going for him is that Richmond win. And that was a lot more due to his pit crew than anything else. So on flat tracks, he's about a 13th place car. That's about it. So starting fifth, a good race out of him today is probably about a 9th, I'd say, with limited dominator potential. Yeah, I want to like Bowman. I love the price. I'd probably be I'd probably have a ton of him if he started ninth,
Yeah.
but starting fifth with True, like you're basically banking on Hamlin, Truex, Kyle Busch, Elliott, and who else starts up there? All having problems, which isn't, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't like Chase either, but I think I'd rather go Elliott over Bowman. I know they're in different price ranges, but between like the Hendrick cars starting up front, I think I'd rather lean Elliott.
Yeah, I'm not high on Hendrick at all this week. And we'll see how that works out. It hasn't worked out this year at all. But, yeah, there was a comment like a long time ago in here that said
yeah, they thought Hendrick was going to struggle or –
yeah. And I think, last week they were definitely testing stuff last week.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do that again this week, I wouldn't be surprised because this is a good indicator of how strong people are going to be at Phoenix. So I'm not a big fan of when teams are testing stuff out. And JGR is just so good here. Like even if Hendrick wasn't testing, it's hard for me to get them above Penske and JGR actually.
Yeah. Who is your favorite to win today?
It's got to be Truex. I think he gets a first win here. He's,
Yeah, because I think I would lean Hamlin and then Truex. And the reason I ask that is because I think that's the question you should ask yourself to start building the lineups is who do you think is going to win? Because I think that, I don't know, maybe I'm talking in circles here, but like if I don't see Kyle Busch winning, then I can't see him leading a lot of the race because he would need to lead a ton of the race to not lose to his teammates. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe I'm just searching for or grasping at the air for things.
Yeah. Like I said, like all the numbers are pointing to Kyle Busch not having a great day today.
Yeah.
And at the same time, Kyle Busch on the pole, it's just. But
I got a super chat too. I'll send you some of this super chat when I get it to you as well, Jordan, because you're on here. But Jay, thank you so much for $50 because I'll send that to Jordan as well because he's on here. I hate New Hampshire as well. Everybody kind of already knows where I stand on that. And we kind of already talked about these guys. I like Stenhouse more than the guys in there. I don't like Suarez. I'm sorry that I had to cut you off there, but I got to give JJ some love here.
Yeah. I was wondering what that was over there.
Yeah. Anyway, as you were saying, Jordan, when I just saw the money and cut you off there.
Yeah, I'm just so torn on Kyle Busch this week, and I have a habit of going too heavy on pole sitters, especially weeks where my projections don't have them very high. Just like this week, like I think Kyle Busch is going to be good. I love the Hamlin Truex build better. So
yeah, so I really think my one takeaway from this whole show is right now is that I need to probably play Cole Custer. That's my only real takeaway from this. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, he's actually like my optimal has him.
Okay.
This week, I'll say that.
Have you seen anybody talking about him at all, or heard anything, or read anything?
The only thing I've seen is negative, like don't play Cole Custer.
Yeah, that's interesting. It is interesting. Trying to think what else we can talk about or what other guys we haven't really touched on, but I think we've touched about.
What about like DiBenedetto, Austin Dillon, that price range? I know I'm stupid heavy on Bell, but do you see much upside there? Obviously, I think people are gonna see DiBenedetto's record here, and I see you have Austin Dillon a little bit better than DiBenedetto.
Yeah, I like Austin Dillon a bit more, and I got him within 1 point of each other. Looking at how Austin ran at Richmond last year, I know that's nearly a year away, and I don't personally I don't like looking at 2020 data right now because we're so far deep into 2021. But when you look at that and then compare it to how they've ran at the other short tracks this year, and RCR in general, how that organization is running, including Suarez, even at the intermediates, at the road courses, at the short tracks, like Austin Dillon is legit like an 11th, 10th place car week in and week out right now. And I say more so than Matt DiBenedetto. That's why if I was playing one of these two guys, I'd probably lean Dillon more than DiBenedetto.
DiBenedetto's not going to get any fastest laps. So the only thing, 14th at Phoenix, 12th at Martinsville, 9th at Richmond. Austin Dillon was 10th at Richmond, 14th at Phoenix, worse in every race. I don't really like either. Like if I'm in that range, I'm going Bell and I'm not thinking twice.
Yeah. I'm with you. I didn't get to these guys in my builds just because I'm that heavy on Bell. Maybe I need to. Like I knew Bell would be popular, but if everybody's like, "Oh, he's a sneaky play," nobody's going to play him in tournaments. I mean, that's how you end up with stupid chalk from these guys.
Like I think he's going to be 30% plus today. I really do.
Yeah, I really do now. Man, so I think that's a good way to edit. So if we're getting off of Bell because we think he's chalky, I think the pivot would be to Dillon. Like if you're staying in that range, it's either Dillon or playing both Stenhouse and Chastain.
Mm-hmm. Which I think I actually like that better.
Let me look at my stuff real quick because that might be a build that I need to make. So Stenhouse.
Austin Dillon's definitely running better, but he has one top 10 in the last 3 months.
Yeah, I think I actually like that a lot. Like if you don't play Bell, then I think you do play both Stenhouse and Chastain together because you can afford it in most builds. You would basically, instead of playing Bell and a 6 or 5K guy, you just get the money you save from Bell and then play both the 7K guys, 7,000. Like I actually really like that build.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Like you said, the one thing you've learned from this is to be more on Custer, and me, it's to be more on. I'm going to be shifting. I have a ton of Stenhouse. I'm going to be shifting some of that to Chastain. But other than that, I feel good about today. Like,
I don't want to hear that, man. I said that last week. That's funny.
Yeah. I guess it's never good. It's never a good thing in DFS to be confident, right?
No, but I got you. Like I feel very happy with today.
Yeah, if I lose at a short flat track with my base core being Truex, Hamlin, Logano, then it's like I'll move on.
Mm-hmm.
Bring on Watkins Glen.
Yeah, and I never went on short tracks anyway, so it doesn't matter for me.
Oh yeah, I'm not great at them by any means.
How it is. But yeah, I think that's where we're at. And I haven't seen any other major questions. I'll highlight good old Jay again because I do appreciate you supporting the channel and supporting the show. As you may or may not know, YouTube takes 30% of that, but I'll distribute that between me and Jordan.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. When I get that, it'll take a while for me to get that, Jordan, but when I do, I'll send it your way. Let's see.
Trying to see, look at anybody we missed.
I don't think we did. Let me look at this. build really quick because I actually really like the idea of trying LaJoy, Stenhouse, and Chastain together. Because that leaves you $10,000 for your remaining guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a build that I got to hand building or in my projections. But I actually really like that.
Do you have any interest in Briscoe in that range?
I did. But if I'm in that range, I kind of already said I was playing more Custer than Briscoe. I have Briscoe at a better value, but I have Custer scoring more points.
Yeah, you could go full JGR, Kyle, Hamlin, Truex with Stenhouse and Chastain and LaJoy.
Yeah, and I normally don't like building lines on stream, but we kind of got to that point to where I really think that's kick-ass.
Yeah, I saw some comments in there like why do people post full lineups? Well, fucking beat me. Like, do it. There's a reason I've been profitable for 5 years straight. Fucking beat me. I get sick of stupid ass comments like that. Like, I'm not gonna scam people out of money for lineups. Beat me. Do it.
Yeah. Let me see. It's funny, man. There's I feel like DFS has more egos than it did 6 years ago.
Oh, it's so stupid.
Like way more.
It's dumb.
Yeah. That's probably the worst part about the industry, really. Or about all this. Let's see. Yeah, I think we've talked about everybody. I think we did.
I know, like maybe like Harvick. I mean, I think he's definitely top 5. I'm not sure he I'm not sure he gets the dominator points like we're used to at Loudon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't see it from him as well. I think he finishes well, and I have him to finish. I'm giving him 6th right now. But I don't see any fast laps or anything coming from him.
Yeah, like maybe 12 or so.
Yeah.
Price too high for me.
Yeah, man, pricing has been so odd this year. I don't understand. I don't know what they're doing.
It's like they'll nail like 90% of it, and then just have these drive like Newman at Pocono, Newman last week, Truex this week. Like, it's like you did so well with the rest of this entire slate, and then you throw that in there.
Yeah, I don't know. It was like when COVID first started, there was massive chalk like in the pricings, and now we've almost not gone the opposite directions, but now there's always like 1 or 2 just chalk plays, and then everybody else has wide open ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I don't like that, but that's where we're at.
Yeah, and I don't know if we've gotten. I don't think we've gotten more chalk though since the qualifying formula came out.
Yeah.
Well, like, I mean, because when they'd set driver prices on Wednesday, and then we'd actually have qualifying, in 2019 or whatever. I feel like there ended up being a lot more chalk those years than this year and last year. And then, of course, same day qualifying and Road America, that whole show.
I don't know. Maybe I need to go back and look at how the chalk relates to when pricing comes out. Because I like same day qualifying, as I said last week, so I don't have to spend all day or all weekend doing this. But we had massive chalk when we had open qualifying, like the entire pack out there, and then half the field wouldn't make a lap because they're trying to draft off of each other. Obviously, last week at Road America, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. It'd be interesting to compare, Yeah, because I feel like I remember, like those years. It'd be kind of normal to get 60-70% ownership, at least and we definitely still see that, like Larson at Atlanta last week, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where we're gonna end it, because I think I've talked. I do want to say this, like the only people who have any influence in leveraging ownership is probably roto grinders, just because so many people use them. But I know I don't leverage ownership at all. I doubt you do as well. No offense, Jordan, but I don't think you have that type of or maybe you do. Maybe I'm not giving you enough credit for swaying the needle on certain drivers. But
I'd be surprised if I do. But
yeah.
I don't know what kind of pull I have and how my traffic, goes to it, compares to them.
Yeah. All right, cool guys. Well, I think we're gonna end it there. We've talked about everything. Yet again, JJ, thank you for the super chat donation. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. And everybody, and I don't know if you like it, Jordan. I'm not a fan of the 2-week break, but that's what we have.
Yeah. It kills fantasy NASCAR so much because people forget about it, like the casuals do. Because like I run a couple games on my site, and every year when there's even just 1 week off, you see a major decline from then on. And 2 weeks off, I mean, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going on vacation on Tuesday. I'm going to have, I'm really going to enjoy it. But yeah, we're definitely not going to get big contests anymore after this. But
yeah, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I mean, I guess it is the Olympics, but and NBC's covering that. But it seems stupid for NASCAR to willingly go up against NFL TV ratings like late in the season.
Well, yeah, I mean, and they throw them on NBCSN anyway, so they're kind of admitting defeat.
Yeah,
just like the Nashville race, the first race that NBC took over, and they throw it on NBCSN. Like, what are you doing?
It's a mess, dude. Okay, well, we're gonna end it there because we're just kind of complaining at this point.
And
go ahead.
The best thing today, there's no Rick Allen in the booth. I just remembered that. He's off this weekend.
Is he? Where is he?
Yes.
Who's in the booth?
I don't care.
It's just Junior, Letarte, and Burton.
The noise, the awful noise from Dumb and Dumber would be better than Rick Allen in that booth.
I hate Rick Allen. Well, we got 7 minutes to kill. I like going an hour. People can join us, complain about stuff here. People like rants and stuff. So I hate Rick Allen and I hate Jeff Gordon, like their voices. And I couldn't be happier that Jeff Gordon's out of the booth. Rick Allen, I don't know why he's the lead commentator. I don't know why Alan Bestwick has not been picked up by either Fox or NBC. I don't understand that at all.
One of my favorite things to do every week is just search Rick Allen on Twitter and find the best tweets of people roasting him. Just so in my head, I know that I'm not crazy and like hating him so much, but he's just so clueless. And the best part is like right now, like I think Junior definitely has gotten so annoyed with him that he just immediately corrects him or basically calls him a dumbass without coming out and saying it. Like every single time. It's like, need more of that. Like come out and actually say he's a dumbass because he is.
Yeah. Or somebody will pit for tires or something, and then he'll be like, Junior, do you think those tires are going to make him faster?
Like he'd ask that at Atlanta. Like, you think that those tires are going to make it? You think they could take 2 tires on this stop? Oh boy! And I get it. Like when he was new in the sport, he didn't get it. He's still learning. The thing is, he hasn't learned anything. He like the whole slide job thing only happened because he didn't know what a slide job was. And then after Junior said it 15 times. Then if you go to like all the races after that, anytime there was a pass and like a slight slide job, Rick Allen would he'd kick in slide job.
Mhm.
It's like, dude,
Yeah.
you're trying way too hard. The dude is a walking caps lock. That's my best roast of him. He is a walking caps lock.
Well, it's the whole thing of I don't know if broadcast school is teaching people that okay, we just need the highlight reels, so they just scream at every moment. Like I don't. That's like even NFL, like or in the NBA, like sure you might hear the announcers get loud when Giannis makes a dunk or a 3-pointer from half court or something like that, but like it's like every move in NASCAR on both channels is just the greatest thing since Earnhardt spun Terry at Bristol.
And and when there's like contact, like I swear Rick Allen is just rooting for Rex. I know I'm ripping on Rick Allen, but like anytime like there's a battle for the lead, he's like, is he gonna bump him? No, because it's lap 7. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, I love Junior. I like Junior, Letarte, and oh my God, Jeff up there.
Burton?
Yeah, Burton. I just went blanking his last name. I don't like Rutledge Wood either. Like I don't like the NBC thing going in like the infield finding stacks of beer. Like I'd rather just watch the race. Like I stream the race on Twitch, so I don't watch commercials anyway. But anytime they're like, well, let's spend 5 minutes talking to this family from Oklahoma and how they drove here. Like I don't care about that at all.
Yeah. See, I'm like Jeff Burton's getting almost to the level of Rick Allen for me, just because I've been like, you need to tune into what Jeff Burton says on a regular basis. Hey, speaking of Burton, we got 3 minutes till we hit an hour. Harrison Burton next year. What? Because I got in a lot of Twitter fights over this.
Harrison Burton is just there because of his money. He's very similar to Stephen Wallace. Like when you look at the Wood brothers, so who was there? It was Menard. He was there just for the money. Or it was, my bad. It started with Trevor Bayne. I mean, obviously it started farther back, but this generation of the Wood brothers started with Trevor Bayne, didn't go anywhere. I can't think of who was in there before. And then it went with Menard because he had the Menard's money. I don't know how DiBenedetto got the ride because he doesn't have money at all. And he's not.
I honestly think it was because, it went Menard, then Blaney, right?
Oh yeah, Blaney, yeah.
And then DiBenedetto. I don't know if he was signed before the Bristol race that he almost won when he became the fan favorite, but I think if that, I don't remember when he was signed, but yeah, I agree with Jax. I think DiBenedetto is significantly higher talented than Harrison Burton. I mean, Harrison Burton took the most dominant Xfinity car there was and can't even compete for top 5s now, but he gets Cup ride.
And I think I don't think DiBenedetto's that good. Like I think he's very similar to like a Johnny Benson, and even Johnny got a win. Like he would have cars here and there. Like DiBenedetto, sure he's good on short tracks here and there, but he doesn't have like consistency across the board. Like sure he's like 11th, 12th in every single race, but I don't see him getting a win.
Do you think Harrison Burton's more talented than Matt DiBenedetto?
No, I think Harrison Burton's worse.
That's my point. Like, I mean, I get why they're doing it. I just think it's, like I said, like, how do you take the 20 Xfinity car and your average finish gets worse after your rookie year, and now you've had 0 wins?
That's why I can't fault Jeff too much, especially in the Xfinity series, because it has to be hard seeing your son go up there and then either wreck the field or do bad. Like you can't talk shit about your own son. Like obviously he's like, oh man, Burton, Harrison, what are you doing? But
yeah. I'm also not looking forward to, he stays out on gas or on pit strategy, and then all the cameras go to his mom on pit road freaking out. Like,
oh yeah, what's her name? Kim?
I think it's Kim, yeah.
That's so funny that has lasted generations. Like I remember seeing that as a child. Like and like if it stresses you out that much, why are you going there? Like if you're a wreck every week,
like
that's-
she. I'm not gonna talk about anxiety meds, but yeah.
No, I'm with you. Real quick, check out the Stacking Denny's podcast that Jordan does with Rotodoc. But people are they're coming to my side, thinking that safety's kind of out the window. Not even with these stupid test dummies or crash dummies, but I mean, I'm slowly converting people.
Yeah. My bad. I forgot that was you that tweeted out about Logano and Newman when I talked about that on Stacking Denny's. I knew I saw it somewhere. I just didn't give you the right credit.
No, you're good.
But yeah, like I think it's, and people are gonna say, making too big of a deal out of nothing because NASCAR came out and said this has all been blown out of proportion. Trust us. We're not going to show you any proof, but it's blown out of proportion. And then we got Dave Moody, freaking kissing ass, and pretty much everybody else. Mm-hmm. And then Jim Utter just randomly tweets, "No problems," and you're like, "What are you talking about?" Like,
it's weird. One day, maybe during the off week or during this off time, we'll do like an hour show of just our complaints of Jim Utter and the NASCAR media and stuff. But thank you guys for tuning in. Best of luck today at New Hampshire, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. All right.
Yep.